Okay, so we are fresh off of the Boogeyman film. This is our Boogeyman AfterShock, the Inkarnate movie reaction. Wow. So, in case you missed our precaution, our preview to the Boogeyman video, every watch party that Trauma Dom and I host uh, on the Mind's Eye Theater, we have a little something called a totem pole. It's a film rating in the event that you've seen the movie that we're going to be hosting, as well as a rating for your expectation for the film that we're watching. And usually that's the ratings are low, medium, high. This particular movie that we just watched, it's absolutely an A. But leaving the theater, Trauma Dom and I had the discussion about what level of A. Is it a triple A? For instance, an Evil Dead Rise, triple A all the way as far as I was concerned. Trauma Dom said it first. I completely agreed. The rating for how good this movie is, we both would say it's a double A all the way. Um, I One thing that I really liked about this movie, one of my expectations that I repeated throughout our precaution preview of the movie was I was talking specifically of and repeatedly about the characters. I really liked what I liked about this movie was that you were following the POV of the teenage daughter, and one of the reasons why I like, well, two reasons that I really liked this particular character is because her POV, she is obviously one of the three main characters, younger sister, older father, and the fact that she is an adolescent, to me, what played off really well was that she was a mix of the daughter's conviction and the father's denial. What do I mean? So, whenever it's a story with a kid and they experience anything that's out of the ordinary, anything supernatural going on, they're gonna believe it instantly. They are going to be convinced that whatever's going on, it's happening, and it's a monster and it's some kind of threat. An adult like the father, he would play the stereotypical, parent in denial. Whenever they hear kids that are, worried about something going on, this character will immediately dismiss whatever it is. So the fact that the daughter, like I said, was a mix of both the gullibility and instantly believing everything that's going on of the daughter, as well as the state of denial that the father was in. I really appreciated that. Trauma Dom, what were your thoughts regarding this movie?
My thoughts in regards to the cast is the same thing I've said for every single watch party.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't need, and I couldn't think of a ringer that would make this movie any better.
Yeah, yeah, like
A B-list cast, bunch of no names, able to just pull off a really good movie.
yeah. It can't if you have too big of a star, it can kind of distract from the plot, and you don't see the actor playing a role. You see the actor in a made up story.
Yeah.
For instance, like Tom Cruise fighting a mummy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like you don't believe he's in any danger. He's the selling point. He was the ringer. I mean, Tom Cruise, I don't blame him for that movie, but I'm speaking to Trauma Dom's point.
I can. He should have stepped down. Brendan Fraser played that off.
They're saying that Brendan Fraser might return because of his Academy Award.
I hope.
Anyway, so the second reason why I like the teenage daughter is that she's not bland. Like you're with her all the way. You're interested in her character and in her story. She's not a bitchy, like, stereotypical teenager. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything is, "Oh, whatever, man," and parents just don't understand.
The
Like,
walking cliche.
yeah. They did have a cliche bitchy character in here, but it wasn't distracting. And I was hoping that she was gonna get it. I'll leave it up to
Please.
your viewing of this movie to see whether she gets it or not.
Just
but
deserves were given.
she wasn't like it. Drives me up a wall whenever movies don't know how to characterize the people who we're supposed to be engaged with or whatever, but like a movie really wants you to invest in these characters. For instance, if you ever saw the movie Happy Death Day, the lead character in that she's just a bitch, and something happens to her, something out of the ordinary happens to her, and the movie tries to posit that because these things, this weird scenario that she's stuck in, continues to happen to her. It assumes that we're just supposed to empathize with her or whatever. And I'm like, get the hell out of my face with that crap. Don't give me a crappy character who's just unrelentingly condescending, entitled, and adversarial, and I'm supposed to root for her because bad situation. No, that's absolutely not how that works. I like this character. Like I said, it's a double A. It's not a triple A movie, and that's not a knock against it. What I'm saying is that look, these characters aren't going to be iconic, and they're not trying to be. They're just saying a good story. But within the context of this movie, I like the teenager. Like I'm with her. She has every reason to lash out considering what she's going through, and she's not that bitchy type of stereotype that just has me that would normally have me rooting for the monster. Yeah. For instance, like when I saw Babadook and the little kid in that movie, I'm rooting for the monster. I'm like, eat that kid! My God, that kid was like when the mother turns around and snaps at the kid, I was dying, bro. I was cracking up when I don't like to curse too much in my video, so I won't say what she said to her own child, but it was epic. And you don't get that with this particular character, and I the teenager, and I really appreciated that. Much like Evil Dead Rise, I'm with the leading lady's sister the whole way. What did you think about the characters?
I really just thought it was a bunch of people that came together and made a good movie. It wasn't. This movie was not made to be a sellout at the box office.
Yeah.
And that honestly made it approachable.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that because in my PreCaution, in my gut reaction video, I was talking about how, it's weird that with the Stephen King name, this isn't getting more buzz. But maybe
he has written a lot of stuff.
Maybe the fact that this didn't have a lot of pressure on it. It's not like a remake of Pet Sematary or Carrie to live up to this, huge legacy or expectation. Maybe the fact that it is smaller scale helps it to manage expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep it original, keep it authentic.
Right.
This is something I can't say that I've seen anything similar to this. I'm sure I'm wrong, and I'm sure somebody in the comments who will be more than happy to shut me up.
Actually, Trauma Dom.
This bears tracing resemblances too.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. And listen, leave some comments and feel free to shut me down, but
I will.
I really can't think of any that kind of resemble this to the T. A lot of the other ones, a lot of what's been coming out is nearly the same thing, or it's the same feeling.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's garbage.
Yeah. This, like I said in my gut reaction, there are two movies from 2 decades ago that this does remind me of, but this film is far superior to them. As I mentioned in my gut reaction, in the early 2000s, there were these Boogeyman type of movies that came out. Darkness Falls and They. And as I mentioned in my gut reaction, they are almost good.
Yeah.
They don't quite land. This one absolutely did. I have to highlight the difference between the handling of the loss of life in this movie versus Megan. You know why I don't care about the orphan daughter losing her parents in Megan? Because the
You're a
movie.
monster.
Because the movie doesn't care. Like, it pays lip service, like, whenever it remembers, oh yeah, this kid lost her parents. But, like, it. As I mentioned in my own reaction to that movie, it pays lip service to that, and the minuscule credit I will give that movie is not necessarily how to handle the death of a parent, as happens in Megan, but more the credit I would lend that movie is the... Thanks for derailing my train of thought. The credit that I would give that movie is more an attempt to to build upon the relationship of the unexpected parent in the aunt and the orphan daughter. In this movie, The Boogeyman, I think that it's handled well. To the point that I would have liked to have seen more of that. They do a much better job of, how can I put it, of showing that the daughter is really going through the ringer with this, with the loss of a parent. It's not just paid lip service. It's evenly spread throughout the movie, and it's handled well. I could have actually used more of the father and the younger sister, but the younger sister, again...
I think she was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I did like her, but
I don't think any of the main characters were over embellished.
No. I just could have used more of her. I like the use that the movie makes out of the younger daughter. You really feel for her, and I never think that it's exploitation to like have a kid that you feel for her and you're concerned. You don't want anything to happen to her. I never feel like, because it's rare that I see that it's poorly handled or it feels like it's tugging at the heartstrings without giving you. Without it feeling earned. Yeah. But the moments that I see this kid, it's just like, aw, the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. And she
was very clever. She wasn't
yes.
brilliant. She wasn't genius. She was clever.
And the ways that she is clever, the movie sets up and pays off. But there are moments of, like, you know, whimsical levity with the younger daughter that I appreciated, you know, but the focus was on the teenage daughter. I really did enjoy the brief moments of levity. This movie isn't completely serious. I would have been fine with it if it was. I really liked by the end that the father, brief as he is in the movie and, you know, utilized, I like that he actually had an arc. By the end, he realizes what is necessary for his family and something that he has been struggling with to address with anyone. But that's handled, that is wrapped up nicely at the end. I saw a review yesterday. It was this morning. I heard a video review of this movie. And they were talking about how one of the drawbacks of the movie is cliches that it plays upon. And I thought that was rich. I'll spoil who it was. It was IGN talking about this movie's stereotypes. Now that's funny for 2 reasons. First off, stereotypes? Do we have a lot of Boogeyman movies that have repetitive tropes? No, we don't. I wish we did. And why is their use of their verbiage of cliches hysterical? Because these are the same knuckle-dragging chimps that whenever a Halloween ends and a Scream 6 comes out, aka slasher trash, they go balls deep with their filleting of the same repetitive crap that we see out of that subgenre. Cliches? Really? Bro, if you think that the Boogeyman suffers from horror movie cliches, you don't know what the hell cliches, you don't know what that word means, and there's no cure for stupid. Furthermore, you don't know what quality horror is. No, this film does not suffer from cliches, and once again, the fact that they like all of a sudden want to act as though they have any kind of standards for horror, that is high comedy. Anyway.
But it really does play into the double A aspect. I would rather see 10 more of these movies at that status come out than to have Hollywood continue to push out these box-selling,
churn out
ridiculous, garbage-filled movies, which are just a repeat of the movie Last, which sucked almost as much, nearly as badly as the first one. Again and again and again. I know I probably just screwed that one up, but
no.
Again and again and again, you just got to keep doing the wrong thing. And you do have a movie like this, Antlers, Cursed, which are not nearly as good as The Evil Dead, but they're certainly what I call vault quality.
Yeah.
I could get these 5, put them in a best-selling pack,
big time,
and easily push that.
Certainly the best of modern horror.
At least.
To your point, it's funny that you mentioned, that with a Halloween Ends, with a lot of what we've been getting lately, not only is it as bad as the last iteration of whatever sequel's coming out, but bet your boots, whatever you're watching right now, will be as bad as the next installment. Need any further evidence? Look how bad the recent Halloween trilogy was. The first one, 2018, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. It was just one bad idea after the next. And please believe, I don't want to derail this conversation too much, but please believe, the Exorcist trilogy will be the same way. Moving on. The Boogeyman? Nah. Sorry, you could miss me with that. None of that. Getting back on track, I thought that the slumber party from the trailers would be with the younger sister and her friends, not the teenage siblings with her high school girls. That was very well played. I don't want to spoil what went down for that, but I thought it was really good. I thought it was handled well. What do you call it? The way that scene went down, that's gonna lead me to my next point. But it's hard to describe without spoiling anything. But the slumber party took an unexpected turn, but a positive one. And it led to two back-to-back points of isolation, which I thought played to the movie's benefit. The traumatized patient's inclusion went somewhere. It wasn't just to introduce somebody. I mistakenly believed that it was someone who had suffered with this creature since childhood. I thought that's why he just looked like he had very gaunt, malnourished, like he hadn't gotten any sleep. I thought it was from trauma, but his inclusion,
trauma.
His inclusion actually went somewhere. It does serve the plot throughout the film, which I wasn't expected, because I thought it was something different, but it actually went somewhere. The phone call that the daughter receives at the end, I don't want to spoil it, but I knew something was fishy. But that did have an interesting twist to that as well. The movie was genuinely suspenseful. That other completely off base IGN review was talking about jump scares. No, there are certainly loud noises in the movie, but they're earned. Yes. And again, it's like not to derail this reaction video, but it's like, dude, where the hell do you get off having issues with jump scares all of a sudden? You people are the same morons that like all of these cliched movies like Megan and Scream that come out. And I got news for you. Neither of those two movies are suspenseful, I should say. And all they have in their bag is jump scares. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And I was worried that, because one of the reasons why I will never give high acclaim to the Netflix series of House on Haunted Hill is because they squander their genuine nail-biting moments of suspense. They squander that with loud noises and jump scares. Like every time I'm thinking, watching that program. Mind you, there was like 10 episodes. Literally every time I'm like, wow, this is actually good tension. Boom, a loud noise. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like literally every single time. I'm like, wow, you're blowing your own wad with how many times you keep doing this. How's about you just dial up the creep factor and then nothing happens, or something is seen and it surprises the character, but there's no loud noise, like you're screwing it up. You didn't get that with this. Again, the slumber party scene led to 2 moments of isolation. The first one was played really well, and I don't want to spoil it, but
it's really hard not to.
Yeah, it genuinely caught me off guard, and I was like, okay, movie, well done. I appreciate that.
I mean, this is easily one of the first times we've ever had such a difficult time trying to describe this movie without giving anything away.
Yeah, big time.
Not everything has to scare the living shit out of you.
Right.
For it to be an epic horror movie. Just to be on that, grab your seat, oh my God, can't believe that happened type of a deal. To me, I mean, I think we're confusing incredible and different with just some of the original ideas that kept a lot of these golden oldies, in our minds and in our hearts. And this is definitely one of those where you just didn't have to drag anything out.
Agreed.
Placement. Mm-hmm. You were constantly guessing.
Yeah.
The context clues were followable, but still surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Still surprising. It's still behind you. Is it behind you? Is it? Oh my God! Now it's on that corner. Like
very, very good use of sound.
Very.
Like, not knowing what it is, not knowing where it is, and I mentioned that in my gut reaction in my PreCaution preview. Good use of sound, and strangely enough, I didn't think about that ahead of time. I mentioned good use of sound because of the creepy lullaby from the trailer, but I wasn't thinking to myself, in the darkness and the chittering and the
guttural noises,
the floorboards creaking, that you, along with the character, don't know where this thing is. There were good moments at the end with the daughter, like when she cleverly uses a light source to go to a certain area of the house, and the lights go out, and she's like in the fetal position. The younger daughter, I mean, and I was like, I really appreciated that little touch, because that's how a child would react when they're just scared witless, and not necessarily that they thought that they had the upper hand with the light source, but that they were at least protected. And when they ain't, she just completely huddles in that position. I really appreciated that. You mentioned, or you were hinting at the pacing. Excellent pacing with this movie. It's
True
never
90-minute wonder.
Yeah, it's never a dull moment. It's not like, hey, whoa, slow down. We're like flying past scenes. It never felt like that. So that was I always appreciate that, because dear God, are there films, and I'm trying to think of one where the pacing. It's hard to think of an example where the pacing is all over the place, because usually a bad movie, you don't care about the pacing because you're not into the story. It's important. In order for you to care about the pacing, you need to care about the story. And if you don't, you can just throw pacing right out the window, because why would you care about pacing when your plot is something that doesn't engage you? This absolutely did engage us, and the pacing was well handled. What wasn't so well handled is the creature design.
It wasn't awful.
What were your thoughts on it?
I don't think it was awful. I think it was original to an extent. I mean, I thought it was. I mean, this we can give away a little bit. I mean, they did kind of put it in to every single trailer. Mm-hmm. You know, I think, like you've said, it has been used, but I like its movement. Mm-hmm. I definitely like that it's able to maneuver on walls. I don't like when it can just magically appear.
No?
I like that this thing had to move around. This thing had to corner you. This had to, if it's just going to just blink and it's right behind you,
Yeah.
that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, and that's part of my defense of this, the surprise moments. It doesn't just do that. It doesn't just blink and you miss it, or blink and like, all right, it scares a character. It's like, how did it even get there? That, because you do get that in some movies where
most movies now.
Yeah, something just like appears, and mind you, you're watching a slasher movie.
Yeah.
There has to be some ground rules of reality, because a slasher movie, what it's supposed to be is a guy with a knife. They're not supposed to be supernatural. They're not. But if you're gonna use the come out of nowhere, it's like, dude, you're just doing that for effect or for shock value.
I mean, to reject yourself at least to that area eliminates that whole, because when you just have these villains or these monsters that are just able to on a dime and they're right behind you, all you're doing is forcing the director to just demand that you hear really shitty dialogue in a dragged out movie.
Yep.
Whereas there's no effort to get to it.
Yeah, it's filler. It's filler, and there's no build up.
And then to kill it is even worse.
Yeah.
Because, all right, you have this thing that just bounces around, does this, does that, and no one can touch it, but all of a sudden you do the most mundane thing and now it's dead?
Agreed.
At least this had some weaknesses.
Yes. Yeah, very true. I would have liked for a better creature design, but that doesn't... And what Trauma Dom was referring to is that I'm getting really tired. I said this coming out of the theater. I'm getting really tired of these like emaciated skeletal monsters, and as if the design, generally speaking, isn't bad enough, as if the repetition of the slender insectoid type of figure hasn't been seen in Stranger Things with the Demogorgon, in A Quiet Place, which A Quiet Place straight up ripped off the Demogorgon to the point that A Quiet Place came out like a year and a half after the first season of Stranger Things, and nobody calls out that it is a straight up rip off. If all that isn't bad enough, the design itself, the repetitive design of it. One of the monsters in Pacific Rim looked like that, like really thin and mantis-like. If all that isn't bad enough, the precedent of this is 16 years old. What am I referring to? All this crap started with the Cloverfield monster, which is one lame-ass... It's a lame-ass monster. It's a lame-ass kaiju. I really hope that they did... The Mutos from the Godzilla movies, I really hope they didn't base those off of Cloverfield. It's just... It's corny. It needs to stop. Think of another theme. Think of another motive. Go for something more bulky. Find a way to make that scary. But this whole like skinny bug-like, it's been done to death, and it's lame at this point. It's repetitive. There was a monster in one of the Star Trek reboot of 2009 when Kirk lands on the alien planet where Spock is. He gets attacked by the same kind of Cloverfield monster. It's like, yo, think of something else, man. So that it was disappointing, but even though I was disappointed by the look of the monster, it still says something about the character, the plot, the mood, the atmosphere that this movie still delivers. Usually, if you had a crappy monster, the whole thing kind of falls apart. But the plot, and I'm not saying that the creature design was terrible, because it's still remember. It's still suspenseful. It's build up. It's stalking mentality. I
think it fit this purpose for this movie, minus a few things that could have been different. But I do agree that it's got to be done away with.
Yeah.
We need some new original ideas.
Yeah. We just need different types of body frames. But regardless, I very much enjoyed this movie. It met my expectations. I was never bored. I was with it the whole way. I liked the characters. Again, we started off talking about our usual watch party ratings, but I think within the context of this film, if I were to put Evil Dead Rise at a AAA, this one is definitely a AA. And if you're watching this, I wholeheartedly recommend this movie. I'm glad that we have something else that came out in 2023 besides Evil Dead Rise that was good. That it's appreciated that it has a Stephen King legacy. And man, Jesus,
we got to think of a name for this vault. Because now we're starting to collect a few of them.
Yeah.
It's been a few years. We're starting to collect a few, and I want to throw this into the vault.
I would, well, like I said, these are called PreCaution and AfterShock for a reason. Just because it gives us a chance to do a live stream where we get our thoughts ahead of time. We can make some predictions, and then afterwards see how they pan out. So yeah, this was definitely I'm shocked. And not because I thought this movie was going to be crap, because if you watch my PreCaution live stream, I absolutely didn't. But I'm shocked because, Jesus, are we getting good horror? Or like, again, Trauma Dom and I have been lucky 2021 and 2022 to get one good movie. And Antlers 2021 came out at the end of that year, and The Curse came out in February of last year. Damn. So it's like we got those.
They were all supposed to come out during the pandemic, right? And they got shut down.
Right.
Is this really what it takes?
Clearly.
Come on, COVID. Let's do this again.
Those came within proximity of one another upon release. So all of 2021, damn near, Trauma Dom and I, it was just like bare bones. And then we got a good movie with The Cursed out in 2022, and then the rest of the year was pretty barren. And the fact that we're not even halfway through this year, hey, I'll say it now. Here's hoping that The Blackening in 2 weeks is good. Here's hoping that not Dracula, The Last Voyage of the Demeter is good.
This It Lives in Here seems interesting.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that trailer. I had seen it before, but I need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that because that could be like an Indian boogeyman.
It is. That's what it's looking like. It's definitely an Indian god. They have a lot of gods in the Hindu culture.
Right.
Which I don't think has been done.
Yeah.
Too much,
No, by all, yeah, it really hasn't. So yeah, I absolutely solid recommendation from Trauma Dom and Inkarnate. And
high stakes all the way, man.
Yeah. I do invite everyone to take to the comments section because I genuinely am interested to see what everyone thought of this movie. Are you on the fence about this? Have you already seen it? Do you have predictions for it? And try to keep them spoiler free if you have seen it. So, for Trauma Dom and the AfterShock trailer, or AfterShock impression of the Boogeyman, I've been Inkarnate, reminding you, I ain't just a big deal, I'm the real deal. You're resigned to your fate? Time to subscribe to your fears.
Warn your friends. Warn everyone.